Well, hello everyone. I wanted to let you know that I have a very special package that just arrived today. Now, I've been waiting for this since the Sportsman show, but I've also been trying to get rid of this horrible cold since the Sportsman show. And that's why you're not seeing me on camera right now because, well, my nose looks a little bit like a cartoon nose right now, and I'd rather not have that be your picture of me at the moment. But just so you know, my gravelly voice and everything else probably proves that I'm not an AI doing this video. But I have been waiting on this package for a while now, not because it's been slow, but because just Tim and I have been talking a little bit. So this is my care package from X2 Flashers. Or X2 Fishing. I wanted to do a bit of an unboxing video. If I do have to blur something out, it's because Tim put a few special things in here for me. But this is my plan to show you some of the things some of the new and different things I'm going to be fishing with this year as a way to just get more fish in the boat for everybody. Not that I had a bad time last year. We got a lot of fish in the boat, but I think some of these things are going to just be next level. So I'm going to open it. I have not opened it yet, and Tim has said that he put a few surprises in here for me. So we are going to find out together. If you haven't heard of X2 Fishing, they are up in Yelm, Washington, so just outside of Olympia, for those of you who are not familiar with Washington geography. And Tim is a huge Puget Sound fisherman. We kind of bonded over some of our Puget Sound fishing adventures that we've had and swapped some stories. What that also means is Tim does a lot of extensive testing in saltwater, which for our ocean coho is perfect for me. There's also some of the stuff in here that I know is going to be in here that is going to be absolutely great for our Spring Chinook and Buoy 10 as well. And I specifically picked out a few things for that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to take, as you can tell, Tim took care of the packaging to make sure nothing would get damaged in transit. So I'm pretty sure that's what you can expect. First off, ooh, merch. Nice. So I have now my own, is that a t-shirt? That looks like a t-shirt. Let's see. Beautiful logo. You can see this up on my, oh, it's a hoodie. So you can see this logo up on my website too. I have actually gotten an official partnership with X2 Fishing right now. So I am super, super excited about that. It's my first sort of real major partnership for the business. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't think they had good stuff. That was my number one criteria. So I tried it out before on, well, it was my son's time, I guess. I'm the one who gave him the money, but Bobby's the one who bought the first X2 flasher that I used. That thing kicked butt last year, so that's why I sought Tim out. He didn't come looking for me. I sought him out because that flasher just absolutely kicked butt. So Tim has gifted me with an absolutely fantastic X2 hoodie. Really fun, really cool. So I'm gonna be sporting this at some point in the year too, I think, in addition to my own hoodies. Now, I had this on my list. Tim has put together a line of fillet knives, and I wanted this not because I don't have a fillet knife. I do already have a fillet knife, but I like the handle on it. It feels pretty good in my hand. It's fairly thick, decent blade. He did recommend running it over a steel, but I always sharpen my gear beforehand, although that blade felt pretty sharp. You can see it came as part of a 3-blade set. So there's sort of that longer blade, a little bit of a shorter one. This might be good for coho. And then an even shorter one. And this one is going to be living on the boat with me because this is going to be the new bait knife I've got for cutting hairy cut plugs and for gilling out and bleeding out fish. Because this thing looks like it's going to be able to cut through just about anything. Now, I normally tie my own leaders or my own bumpers, but Tim promised he'd throw some in here. So he's got his bumpers here. Now, the thing I really like about these is these snaps. So you might be able to see them. Let me pull it out here. Open one up here. These snaps are great Let's see if I can do the YouTuber thing here. Because if you look, they don't really have anything that pokes out outside of the snap. And so they're not going to hang up on the net like, say, like a dual lock does. Now, I kind of swapped over to Hawaiians, but these are pretty nifty too. They kind of do the same thing where rather than having to, pry it apart or anything like that, let's say you're going to put a couple of these together, all you got to do is like bring it in like that and you're inside the snap. Pull it apart. You just got to go like that and you're back apart. Now this snap to snap's a little bit thick, but if you're running like your ball chains, your bead chains and those sorts of things, this is going to be great. And I like how it kind of has that pivot point on the end there. If you take another closer look at it, it's got that pivot point. And not only is that going to be good for, kind of keeping everything in place and lined up and not flipping around so much, especially if you're in weedy water. But I think it's going to be really good for just kind of providing a little sharper point and more consistent action at the end of the bait. So Tim hooked me up with some 20 inchers. And then I think he also sent in, let's see, what do we got? Some 24s. I told him I do 18 to 26 generally. So we've got some 18s as well. And they're color coded so you can grab them in a hurry. And the thing is, usually I make my own, but this is pretty darn close to what I make with the crimp tuna leader style. So I'm really happy with these. These are going to fish pretty consistent for me. So I'm really, really happy seeing these in here. The other thing is they've made their own line locks. So I know a lot of folks use the VIP ones. Short Bus makes one now too. I've used both of those. So I'm going to be trying out Tim's line locks as well. I do kind of like their profile though. It's a little bit narrower, a little bit thinner. So, and a little bit more aerodynamic or hydrodynamic. Again, let me see if I'll have to pop one of these out for you here. This is literally the first time I put one of these in my hand. I did not see these at the sports show. So if you look at it there, you can see your leader's gonna come in from this direction, go out to your gear there. It's got that little kind of curve there to help the water flow around it a little bit. And the job of this thing is to just kind of hold your lead out ahead of your bumper on your setup. Where'd that bumper go that I had open? So your main line's gonna come down, you're gonna have your line lock. Then you're going to have your bumper with a bead chain swivel in between. And then this is going to go out to your flasher, which, as you all have probably been staring at this whole time, is the next thing that he has included. Now, I had a wish list. And, well, let's just say it looks like he hooked me up too on that. So I picked out a bunch of different colors on these flashers. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, these flashers have done me well. I'm just going to say that they've done me well. There's a couple of things about them that I really like. So let me grab this one here. This is a little bit, yeah, this one, a couple of these. This one here is sort of the shark tooth pattern. I picked this one because I like that chartreuse. I caught a lot of fish using this pattern, especially in a little bit warmer water. When I was fishing up in the Sound, they think it's just going to do really well, especially with the chartreuse early on for springers when the fish are just a little bit reluctant. And that moon jelly on the other side is really good for UV reflectivity. And, especially if you're murky water, deep water, UV is going to be really, really important, particularly in deeper water. And then they've got a light in the middle. And so that light in the middle helps attract the fish as well. The flasher I had last year that I sort of stole from my son had a light like that. And I think there were plenty of days when that was sort of the difference. The back on this is glow. And that's also super important. Just make sure, and so this is the Chartreuse Shark Tooth Magic from x2fishing.com, and you can see that glow there. For me, glow is almost everything when it comes to fishing deep, especially during buoy 10 when I'm or out in the ocean, when I'm trying to get down into those kings when they're sitting right down on the bottom at 40, 50, 60, sometimes 70 or 80 feet of water. There's not a lot of light comes from the sun. That glow helps them zero in once they sort of stop feeling the flasher or once they get close enough. The other piece of it too, and speaking of feeling the flasher, and I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. Kind of nice packaging here. So these come with just that regular swivel, and then there's another sort of more standard sort of dual lock style swivel on the top end for the other end here. So the other piece on these flashers that's really cool is they've got two different sort of settings for how much whip you want to give your baits. So for example, if I'm going to run like a whole anchovy, or even maybe let's say I've got a well brine cut plug that I'm going to stick behind a 360. I'm going to probably want to choose that one. If I'm running spinners, spinfish, hoochies, salmon flies, basically any of the artificials that can handle that extra whip, I'm going to put it here, especially spinfish. Those spinfish from Yakima really, really love being whipped around a lot. The fish just go nuts over them, and the more action you can get them, the better. So what you'll do, you'll just take this extra snap here. You'll stick it over in here, like so. And then as that flasher turns, it's just going to give you that extra little bit of leverage. The other thing I like about these, decent double fin. So that's similar to what you're going to see on some of the Pro Trolls and the short buses. But the other thing is, if you look at this plastic, now a lot of times people are like, oh, thin makes me a little bit nervous because it's going to break. I can tell you right now, the one I had last year did not break, and it had some pretty good sized fish on it. But that thinner flasher allows it to get more action going around. So this tends to be able to move at a slower trolling speed. So if you saw me out there slowing down and getting bit this last year, Buoy 10, when no one else is getting bit, part of it was that flasher I had out with that thinner plastic. It allowed me to keep that flasher moving. Okay, so camera issue resolved. So this pattern here, I'm thinking, especially with the chartreuse early on, maybe for some springers. The springers like it slow, and I'm thinking these guys are going to do the job. This one, all purpose, chrome moon jelly. This thing should catch fish all year long. Ocean, river, no matter what. I mean, let's face it, salmon are sort of like, Henry Ford was. Henry Ford was famous for saying, my customers can have their Ford car in any color they want as long as it's black. Well, salmon, kind of famous for saying, I'll take my flasher in any color you want to give it to me, as long as there's chrome. So that's sort of what this is. And the moon jelly is so that I can run it a little bit deeper. Tried a few different colors. This one here with the red stripe, that is going to do a little bit better in murkier water. Red colors tend to transmit better underwater when there's a lot of debris. So when you see that sort of muddy water, that red tide water, as we call it, in Buoy 10 or in the spring, when we get a lot of debris and those sorts of things, sometimes near seams, that red will cut through in a way that UV doesn't. The shorter UV rays, they're great for penetrating water very deep, but especially if you're going to fish up a little bit shallower, the red tends to cut through the murk a little bit better. So that's the point of the red. Couple of doubles here, again, sort of a chrome and green with the light on it. I think those are going to do well. Another sort of different chrome and green. And I know Tim's put in a few things here that I didn't quite add on. And so I'm definitely, because I don't remember putting this one on, but maybe I did. And this one looks pretty deadly too. More of that chartreuse bubble, and then a chrome bubble on the back. More of the chrome and moon jelly. Now we're getting into a couple more here. Moon jelly, shark tooth, and chrome. I think that shark tooth pattern tends to trigger some fish in a way that maybe just a solid chrome doesn't, especially with that moon jelly down deep, glow on the back again. Also really important, especially on darker days, early in the morning, or fishing deep when there's not a lot of natural light. Basically, go with the glow. If you're fishing when or where there's not a lot of natural light. This pattern here, I had a Pro Troll with this pattern last year, and it, other than that X2, that Pro Troll with this purple pattern on it, pretty much was my number 2 flasher out, and definitely out in the ocean. It was one of the top ones that I had. So this one here, definitely an option for out there. Pure chrome,
We all know it. We all love it. More of these guys. Absolutely. When we start getting that murky water, especially out around Buoy 10 or up above the bridge on the north side, when it really can kind of get a little bit muddy, I think this pattern with the chrome on one side, that red stripe and chartreuse, I think this is going to do some real damage there. So we've got more and more of kind of the same stuff here and more line locks. So it looks like Tim really, ooh, this right here, I bet you, I'm willing to bet you, you'll have to watch and see later on this season or maybe come fishing with me. But I'd be willing to bet you absolutely that this flasher right here is going to kill some fish, especially when we get some murkier water. That red, I think, is going to cut through. That moon jelly is even more UV reflective for down deep with the light. I just think this is going to give opportunities maybe in some times and places when we're not normally catching a lot of fish. I'm going to say thank you to Tim so much for hooking me up on this. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking forward to putting all this stuff to use this upcoming year. Thank you very much. If you're interested in seeing all this stuff work, make sure you book a trip with me at riverwandereroutdoors.com because I would love to have you out on the water.